What's up everyone? Welcome to GregO.EXE here on LEGO My GregO TV. Today I wanted to talk about the failure of the Toys to Life genre of video games. This was a popular trend in games from 2011 until around 2017. It utilized figurines or action figures in order to interact with the game itself. The releases were highly ambitious, fun games, each offering hours upon hours of content with dozens of playable characters and combinations. However, this was not enough to save them from being decommissioned by their respective studios, with Activision's Skylanders having gone into hiatus in 2017, and the cancellations of both Disney Infinity and LEGO Dimensions in March and September of 2017 respectively. The genre rose to prominence in 2011 with the release of Activision's Skylanders, a Toys to Life offshoot of the Spyro franchise. More games soon followed, including Disney Infinity, Nintendo's Amiibo, and LEGO Dimensions. Each series launched with a line of different figures that could be transported into their respective games using a launchpad peripheral, and played for hours of enjoyment. Disney and LEGO even released different updates and expansions using the different properties they had acquired, such as Marvel, Pixar, Star Wars, Back to the Future, Doctor Who, Harry Potter, and Sonic the Hedgehog. On the surface, these games looked like a cash cow, but sadly, almost overnight, the interest in these kinds of games seems to have just died out. In my opinion, the oversaturation of the market mixed with the high price of the games and figures were the two biggest factors in the failure of these games. Let's step back and look at this. LEGO Dimensions ended with 82 different figures, Disney Infinity ended with 118 figures, and Skylanders currently has 350 different figures. If you were to actively play all three of these games and collect all the figures in question, you would currently have 550 little pieces of plastic taking up space somewhere in your home. Now take into consideration that each of these figures, most of which were sold separately, could run a person anywhere between $8 and $30 depending on which game you are playing, with LEGO Dimension being the most expensive of the three. As much fun as these games are, myself and many other fans just couldn't justify the hundreds of dollars they'd potentially be spending to invest in these games for themselves or their children. To my point, I can draw a comparison between these games and the Guitar Hero Rock Band craze of the late 2000s. These games required the consumer to purchase not only the game, but the additional guitar, drum kit, keyboard, and microphone peripherals to make the games playable. While these music rhythm games were hugely popular at one point in time, the fire has since died out. People were unhappy about having to get the updated or different pieces of equipment for each of the different games, as many were not compatible with one another in their own series, much less between the two different series, and rather than updating their games with a new roster of songs, more and more games were released in an incredibly short amount of time. Just think about how many Guitar Hero and Rock Band games were released, each one specifically featured around a different band, like Green Day or Aerosmith, oversaturating the market in the span of about 4 years. Much like the music rhythm games of the late 2000s, it would seem that the Toys to Life genre may have just been another one of those fads of the gaming world, rising in popularity and burning out in the span of less than a decade. Disney Infinity had one more major drawback that I would like to bring up, and it's in the way that they handled their expansions. Disney Infinity released two major updates to the game in the form of Disney Infinity 2.0 and 3.0, which were designed around the introductions of the Marvel and Star Wars universes respectively. The new toys for these expansions were not compatible with the older versions of the game, and the old characters had very limited playability in the updated versions. And the games themselves were launched for full retail price, usually only bundled with 2 to 3 figures apiece, plus they came with another launch pad. Yes, if you bought all 3 versions of this game, you will have 3 giant chunks of plastic in your home to play this game with. This spoke to me as a cheap way to cash in on what was at the time, and still very easily could be, a very loyal fan base. Unfortunately for Disney, the fans felt like they were being screwed over, which is probably one of the leading factors in why the hype around the 3.0 Star Wars release was very minimal. In the end, the Toys to Life genre went out with a whimper rather than a bang. And even though Skylanders still hasn't officially dropped, and Nintendo continues to find steady success with their Amiibo line, it would seem that Toys to Life will go down in history as just another fad. Maybe someday we'll see a resurgence of these games, in a similar fashion to the attempts that Rock Band and Guitar Hero made to get onto next-gen hardware. I personally enjoyed my time with these games. They were fun, little snippets of gaming history that I will remember fondly. Well gang, that will do it for this episode of GregO.EXE. If you liked it, why not give it a thumbs up in the button system clicky bar thing down there below? Leave a comment, let me know what you think about the show, and please subscribe to LEGO My GregO TV. You can also help support the channel over on Patreon for as little as $1, and subscribe to the LEGO My GregO TV Facebook page to stay up to date with all of your LEGO My GregO TV news. Wow, I said LEGO My GregO TV like 9,000 times right there. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you on the next one. Internet, cut!